Alright guys, welcome back to another Titus Diorama and action figure review. And in today's video, we're going to be covering the entire process of making my friend a diorama. This is a very late birthday present, and I really hope that he does like this. I will have shorts that you can go back and follow along the entire process, but let's get to it. So the first thing that I did was I actually just drew out a quick little sketch here in my sketchbook to kind of look at what I wanted to see or what sizes I wanted to have. The actual measurements did change, and I'll show you here why in a second. But basically, I originally planned on using foam board to do this, and I changed it out to use some wood. On the other side here, I have a little bit more detailed sketch of what the back wall is going to look like. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm going to be using to build this. All right, so as I mentioned, I originally was going to cut out some foam board that I have to make this diorama. A while back, though, I bought a bunch of these artist panels from my local Dollarama. They don't stock them anymore, and I've been trying to figure out what I can use to make my own dioramas with. And I decided I was going to use this for my friend. So this is an 8x8, this is an 8x10, which happened to work out to be a little larger than what I originally planned for him, but it's going to work out great. I've sketched out on the back here where the sidewalk is going to fit, the back concrete panel, and then the brick. And of course, this is going to be the sidewalk area. This is where the back's going to sit. And up here, I think I'm going to use probably some cork board in order to make the roadway here. And basically, this is just going to sit like that. It's a little wobbly right now because it's not 100% even. But what will happen will be that the sidewalk will butt to here to help it from leaning forward, and the concrete will land on top of that, or the foam piece of the concrete will land on top of that. So it should keep it from moving backwards. And he has this against the wall, he won't have to worry about it going back, forwards. And if he's got it against the wall, it won't go backwards on him. So guys, as I mentioned, originally I was going to cut out some foam pieces to make the base and the back wall. I actually decided that I was going to go ahead and use up some of these remaining artist panels that I bought at my local dollar store or Dollarama, which they don't stock anymore. So I only have a couple more of these left, but I decided to use it on this project. This is an 8x8 and this is an 8x10. The base is going to consist of a corkboard road. I'm going to use a 1/2-inch foam board here for the sidewalk. This back piece is going to land right here. And then I'm going to have that same 1/2-inch foam core here and here for the brick and the concrete. And how this is going to work is that when I put this on the back, it's going to sit, and the sidewalk's going to butt up to the back piece, and the piece of foam that I'm going to use as the concrete will butt onto the sidewalk, so that way the front won't fold forwards, and if it's against the wall, it won't fall backwards. So anyway, that's what I've got so far. I'll show you real quick the foam board I'm going to be using. So here is that 1/2-inch foam board. I originally bought an 8x2 foot sheet of this and cut it down, and I've been using this for the last 5 years for different projects. My Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sewer layer was made out of this stuff. Anyway, this is the last piece I have of that entire sheet. I'll probably have to go out and buy more if I want this. I like this because it's a little easier to cut through. But basically, I'm going to be using this for the sidewalk, which I already have lined out here. The back area for the concrete. And then I'm going to cut down strips of this in order to use as brickwork. for the remaining of the top of that. Yeah, let's get to it. All right, so as you can see, I've already cut down the piece of foam that I'm going to use. I'm now getting ready to cut out the sidewalk and then the back concrete. The concrete is 8 by 4.5, and the sidewalk is 8 by 3.75. So I'm getting ready to make those cuts now. And then when we get back to it, I'll show you what it looks like on the board. Before I cut out this final piece, I just want to point out something really important when cutting foam like this. You want to make sure you have a nice blade sharpener and keep your utility blade nice and sharp. You want nice clean cuts. You don't want any ripping. I will show you on this piece here. See how there's a little bit of ripping there? I hadn't sharpened my knife quite well enough, so it did leave a little bit of ripping on the end. Luckily, it's not the end I'm going to be using in the project, so I don't have to worry about it. But just keep that nice sharp or sharpened blade in order to be able to do these cuts. I also like to make separate passes, so I'll do a shallow and then a deeper and then cut the entire way through on the third one. And that pretty much will give you a nice flat, non-ripped piece of foam. Now, one of the things I do want to point out here, these boards, is that these boards aren't exactly 8 by 8 or 8 by 10, as you can see here on the sides. So when I did the 8 by 8 here, you can see there's a little bit of slush, if you want to say, there with that. So what I'll do is line up one side to be perfectly flush, as you can see on these two, and then I'll tape this to the back on both of them, flip it over and draw a line of where I need to cut that off, and then I'll take these off, flip them over and cut that line down, so that way we can have, or I can have a flush side on that. I'll have to do the same with doing the brickwork up here. I'll put them in. What I'll do is I'll use one side to make sure they're flush, lay them across, and then when I get to the other side, I'll cut them to match where it needs to be going along this. All right, so I've put my bottom piece down here and I've taped one side so it's flush. This is the overhang on this side, so I'm going to mark that. I'm going to do the same with this one and this piece. I'll mark them and then I'll just cut off the overhang and then they'll fit perfect. So here we go. I have cut these two pieces to fit the bottom and the side. I'm liking the damage that's in here because I can work that into the actual diorama. This really quickly I want to point out on the side, when I was talking about not having your knife sharp, the tears there can happen. I can fill those in with some putty. But that's what happens if your blade is dull or has any nicks in it. That can definitely happen. Anyway, I like what it's looking like so far.